Thanks for doing that. That is joining? No, she doesn't have the. I didn't know she was joining. Yeah. He's on his way. They are.
Let me know when she tries to jump in. Have you sent it? We'll call to order this regular meeting of the Williston Basin School District Number 7 School Board at 5:31 PM. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Although if you could call the roll.
Healer.
Here.
Barge.
Here.
Sluter. Here. Overland.
Here.
Kilgore.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Swint.
Here, we do have a quorum, we will proceed. Our mission is to inspire and prepare students for the next level of education, work, and life. Our vision is to foster student growth and build trusting partnerships between students, staff, family, and community. And education at WBSD 7 will support our students' intellectual, social, and emotional growth. We will provide students with an innovative curriculum supported by various co-curricular activities. The outcome of our efforts will empower students to make a difference in their community and world. We believe in providing a safe environment where healthy relationships and student growth are priorities. Item number 2, adopt the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I move to move item 5E to 5A and shift all items down just out of respect for students in their presentation here.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Board members, the item we'll be moving is the student presentation from item E up to item A and subsequently moving all other items down. Any discussion? Hearing none, Paula, could you call the roll?
Barge.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Overland.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 3, showcasing schools. Today we'll have a presentation for Wilkinson.
All right. Where do you want me to stand? Right here?
Right there.
Perfect. You got the clicker too, right there. Oh. Okay. Nice. Okay, I'm Rio Boston. I'm the principal at Wilkinson Elementary. I'm gonna try to keep it short. I think last year I was a little long-winded, so I'll keep this brief. Wilkinson, last year, we were the Wilkinson Bees. This year, we started a little different. We're the Wilkinson Wolves. Kind of a cool story with the logo. One of our One of our parents, good friend of mine, Brooks Griggs, he drew the logo, and then one of our teachers, Serena Gardner, she digitized it, I guess, and colored it, and that's how we got our logo. We're the Wolf Pack, and PAC is an acronym, stands for Positive Actions Create Kindness. And so we use that in our Student of the Month celebrations. We call it Leader of the Pack celebration. Students are celebrated for academic achievement, for behavior achievements, celebrate in front of their peers, in front of their families, and they receive the celebration in front of their peers and their parents, and they receive the kind of the words from their teachers, and they get a certificate and a bracelet that says Leader of the Pack, and they can kind of carry that with them for the rest of the year. Our staff, awesome staff. We have 12 classroom teachers, K2, or 2 sections of kindergarten, 24 and 26. First grade, 2 sections, 23 and 24. Second grade, we have 2 sections, both with 24 students each. Third grade, we have 3 sections, 24, 24, 23. And fourth grade, we have 3 sections this year, 23, 23, and 21. Throughout the course of the year, we've had a different number of paraprofessional support. We've lost a few throughout the course of the year that we haven't hired back. And then we also have our Title I support as well. We have 3 Title I support teachers in our building. We have 4 special education classrooms. We have an LD classroom. We have a high needs classroom. We have our early childhood special education classroom. And then we have a medical needs, high needs classroom as well. And that medical needs classroom has some early childhood students, and then also our grade level students as well. Our students at Wilkinson, we have a diverse group of students. We're a Title I school. We have 303 students currently, pre-K to 4th grade. Kind of look at the demographics there compared to the state and the district. I'll read them. I'll just kind of click through. I wanted to highlight a couple of academic things that we have going on. This was a really cool thing. This is a first grade. Our first grade group has been awesome. This is a email that we received from Tessa Helstead, who does our data and assessment in the district. And she sent this email to our first grade teachers just to celebrate what our first graders have done this year in math as far as our state testing goes. She said out of all the data that she's collected in the district over the last 2 years, she's never had a grade with an average score in the level 3 for K2, never. So basically what she's saying is that the average score of 278.5 is in level 3. So they're all proficient on grade level, which is really kind of unheard of for first grade, which is really awesome because you're looking at the foundations of, these are you're working from first grade up, right? And pretty exciting for Wilkinson and for those first graders and those first grade teachers. So we really celebrated them because of that achievement. The next 3 slides, I wanted to highlight 3 students that are going through our Title I program because I feel like that Title I intervention and the interventions that we put in place are things that translate not just in our Title I program, but also in the classrooms as well. And so you can kind of see the different types of interventions that take place and why it's so important that those happen. So this is a struggling kindergarten student. And you can see based on this graph that, in September, at the beginning of the school year, low, October, low. Once we get that intervention early, scores skyrocket, right? So it kind of just highlights you have to intervene early and you have to maintain intervention. So this next one shows that. This was a student that struggled in kindergarten, is going to continue to struggle in first grade, So we have to continue those interventions throughout, but as long as we maintain those interventions and we maintain some sort of level of intervention with this student, they're going to be successful and they're going to eventually, they're not going to need these Title I interventions. They're going to be on grade level and they're going to be successful moving forward out of elementary school into the middle school, high school and beyond. So kind of a cool look at how consistent interventions are going to be successful. And then this one is when we're looking at interventions, we got to use data to inform our decisions. And this was a student that was struggling and the classroom teacher noticed they were struggling. And we have a process that we go through now. It used to be called MTSS, still is the process, but we call it BAR, and I'll kind of touch on that in the next slide. But brought this student to the BAR process and said, this student's really struggling. What are some more interventions? What are some things we can do with this student to help them out? Brought them through small blocking BAR, which is kind of the first part of the intervention, then to the big block, which is the second part of the intervention. Got involved with the title team, and the title team put their interventions into place. And then you can see that student jumped up and is now, on track to meet their goals and to be successful meeting the end of the year goals. So just data informed decisions, which our title team is awesome. And the cool thing about our title team and the strategists in that title team is they're going to be able to help our teachers and everybody else in the building kind of understand the data, and not that teachers don't understand it, but just help to take that understanding of data and those interventions and apply them in the classroom to everyone. So like I said, BAR, I think that's the next one. Yeah. BAR is a really cool thing that we've been working. This is going to be this is our second year. Next year will be our third year. We're implementing small block meetings. That's your grade level meetings that we're bringing in the teachers of the grade level. They're talking about individual students, trying to talk about every single student throughout the course of the year. Have we talked about every student at Wilkinson? No, we're still working on it, trying to get to every student. You talk about academic successes, academic struggles, behavioral successes, behavioral struggles. And if students need intervention, that's where we're trying to intervene first, right? In those small block meetings, figuring out what might work, classroom level interventions. If those interventions aren't working, we move to the big block. Those big block meetings, we include other teachers from different grade levels, include counselor, might include specials teachers, and we get some different ideas going, and we see what we can do as far as a larger intervention, could be including the title team, whatever we need to do to find success with that student. And then finally, this is something that we hadn't done very much of last year, but we started this year, is Community Connect. And that's bringing in people like the SRO, Student Resource Officer, could be our social worker, trying to connect families or students with outside resources to help them find success in a lot of different areas. It doesn't necessarily have to be academic. It could be, a family had a loss of a family member or something, in that way. Maybe they need outside resources for therapy or counseling that we can't necessarily provide, but we can help them get the resources for that. I was able to go to the BAR National Conference with some teachers this year, and that was really awesome. I mean, it was in Palm Springs, California, which was obviously awesome. But it was really cool to see other schools in the country that were applying BAR to their different schools, and in the way that they applied them to their school specifically. It doesn't all look the same. And I thought that was encouraging, because Wilkinson is completely different than Rickard, and Rickard is different than Lewis and Clark. So you can apply BAR to your school and find what fits. And I thought that's a cool thing with BAR. Behaviors. This has been a struggle for us at Wilkinson. We have a behavior matrix, and this is something we put in place. And really, we're very hopeful about, how are we going to solve some of these behavior problems? It's a tool, we've been using. to try to be consistent with behaviors. We have seen some success in some areas, but some behaviors are not solved with a behavior matrix is what we're finding. And so that's something that we're still working on. One of the ways that we're working on that is trying to become more educated and proficient in using conscious discipline strategies. So using these strategies that are really geared more towards looking at behaviors as a form of communication and understanding what those students are communicating to us and how we can communicate back to them and teach them how a better way to communicate how they feel. And so it's hard. It's a shift in thinking, but we're getting there, and I've seen some successes along the way. And so I'm very hopeful with what we're doing with conscious discipline. But yeah, we have a behavior para, and we have some really awesome people in the building that have been providing support in the area of behavior. So I'm hopeful in that area. We do Twist Day, and we started this last year. It's awesome. It's together. We include students and teachers. It's basically a day where we take and we mix everybody up. So teachers get a variety of grade level students that come into their classroom. It's a relationship building day, not only for the teachers and the students, but also for the different grade level students. So you'll have fourth graders working with first graders, and kind of have that opportunity for the older kids to mentor the young kids. You have an opportunity for the teachers to get to know some of those different grade level kids. So you might have that student next year or something like that. Now you already have a relationship with them. They do STEAM activities. Sometimes they just do fun activities depending on the time of year. And yeah, just an opportunity for them to collaborate and have a mentoring opportunity. And then the thing I love about Wilkinson, which is awesome, is the family and community involvement at Wilkinson is huge, which I hope, I know the district is going to look a lot different next year, and there's a lot of families moving away from Wilkinson, but I know for a fact there's a lot of awesome families moving into Wilkinson. And like when we have an event, tons of people show up. And I know it's not just because David Moore's cooking up hot dogs, right? It's people want to be at the schools and people want to come to these events. You just have to invite them. And so we've done some really cool things. We've had family picnics. We do a trunk or treat, and people show up and they're excited to be there. We went to McDonald's and had a McDonald's night, it was crazy how many families hung out at McDonald's for several hours and just watched us work and stuff. So that was really cool. And then finally, the playground is in. It's finally here. So last year we talked a little bit about the fundraiser we did for the playground. And this is a really good example, I think, too, of how the PTO and the school and the district all kind of work together to make this happen. It wasn't easy. I would say, like, anything that you want to do that's great is going to be a lot of hard work, and it's not, and there's always going to be some tough conversations, and there's always going to be a little bit of back and forth. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it worked out, and it's awesome. And the district did a great job, and the PTO did a great job, and the staff at Wilkinson did a great job, and the kids are having a blast on it right now. So that's all I got. And any questions?
Mrs. Wheeler, I'll come to you after I go to anybody sitting here in the room if you have any statements. But board members, any questions or comments?
I've noticed a couple of things I've been involved with are just President that you guys do a really good job incorporating the kids into, I guess, just how you guys operate the school. And like the rebranding, the new mascot, I was there when you guys revealed that and whatnot. And so that was super cool. And I like what you guys are building there. And And also you can give yourself a little bit of credit on the playground.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations on
Just
that.
a little bit. Just kidding, a lot of credit. Okay. Board members, anybody else?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say one of my takeaways from hearing your presentation is that you and your school, that you guys really know how to use your resources. Just hearing it throughout your presentation and the kids who are struggling, you guys pulled in with your interventions on showing consistency and pulling the resources from BAR. I think that's really awesome that you guys recognize when there's an issue, when there's a struggling student, and just figuring out how to really help that student. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members? Mrs. Willer, do you have any input?
I just thank you very much for that presentation, and an extension of a huge thank you to all of your staff, and the families, of course, for being a part of the Wilkinson family. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, these are the highlight of what we get to do at these meetings, getting to hear from what's going on actually in the buildings. I just want to thank you. I mean, clearly, you guys, your team, you've turned that school around, and you should be proud of that, where you've come from and how well you've succeeded at building that culture within that building. Thank you so much for taking that on. That's never easy. But with that also, I think you guys highlighted here, everything, the data that you're presenting, you're celebrating those wins, and you're highlighting how you're dealing with the areas where kids are struggling. And I think that's extremely important. And I also love, and you're the first one I've heard say this, that BAR is not the same at every school, the way it's implemented. And I think that's extremely important that's highlighted, because you are the first one I've heard say that. So being able to say, look, it doesn't work for everybody the same way, but it's successful when you figure out how to use it for your building. So I appreciate that. Is there one thing going into the next school year as we wind down that you see as a challenge that we as a board can help move you guys forward or give you support in an area? Just one thing you really feel.
I think the biggest thing, moving forward as we look into, redistricting, or as we have boundaries and we have new families coming in, there's going to be a lot of families that struggle, I think, because they're not going to be used to the new schools, and we're going to have, I think, a lot of questions, a lot of people wanting to go back to where they were. And I think just support from the board to say, hey, every Williston school is awesome. And, if we're talking about equity across the district, I think that's what we need to promote as much as possible, and just having that support. And also, I would want to personally invite every single one of you to be in our buildings as much as possible next year. I know I've seen a couple of you in our building specifically, but it would be awesome if the board members were in our building consistently. I think that would go a really long way for our staff and even for our parents. Because, I see our parents in the building a lot. They drop their kids off and they see me and I talk to them. It'd be cool if they ran into you guys once in a while and got to know you guys as well. So.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Moving on to item number 4, communicating with the public. As always, lovely script to read real quick. Public participation at board meetings is governed by district policy BCBA. Meetings of the board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the schools and therefore are not public meetings, but meetings held in public. It is the policy of this board to afford that opportunity in accordance with the following procedures in North Dakota Century Code 44-04-20.1. 1, only items on the published board agenda or on the previous meeting's published agenda will be discussed at any meeting of the board unless the superintendent or a board member requests an addition to the agenda of a regular meeting and the board members present approve in accordance with board policies. 2, no individual may speak more than once. 3, please state your name for the record. 4, state the agenda item you are speaking to. 5, comments will be limited to no more than 3 minutes per individual. 6, public comment will be limited to no more than 30 minutes in total. The board had adopted policies governing patron complaints. The public is required to seek redress through these policies. The public will be prevented from commenting on a topic if it is, 1, governed by a district complaint policy, and the complainant has not followed the procedure contained in policy, and/or the policy prohibits the public from bringing the complaint before the board. 2, concerns a topic that is prohibited by law from disclosure to the public, such as a student's educational record. Undue interruption or other interference with the orderly conduct of board business cannot be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. The presiding officer may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, she or he persists in improper conduct or remarks. Furthermore, any individual who is persistently disruptive of a school board meeting may be removed from that meeting by order of the presiding officer. Board members will not engage in dialogue during the public comment period. Questions may be answered by the presiding officer or an administrator at the following meeting or in writing at a later time. If you wish to provide any public comment this evening, please step forward to the podium. Announce your name for the record as well as the agenda item you are speaking on this evening. Is there any public comment this evening? Any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we're going to move on to item 5A, FFA student presentation.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all. My name is Sailor Atkins, and I'm this year's president. One of my biggest goals as this year's president is to make FFA not only productive, but enjoyable and memorable for every member. When I was a younger member, it was very important and it meant a lot to me to have officers who worked hard to get things done, but made it really fun and enjoyable to be there too. Those experiences made me excited to be involved, and it's my main goal to get the younger members to have that same excitement. I also want to help our chapter become more involved in the community. And with having those community events, it not only helps us get our name out there and raises awareness about it, but it gives members more opportunities to connect with others and represent us in a positive way. This year alone, I've completed over 40 hours of community service through FFA. From working with the elementary kids to helping set up for band day and other community activities like that, those experiences taught me responsibility, leadership, and the value of hard work. And those are all opportunities I would not have without FFA. Agriculture education is something that is important in school and everyday life. FFA teaches kids not only how to be respectful, but also dependable and prepared for their future, no matter what career path they choose, if it's in agriculture or not. And as president, I want to continue strengthening our chapter while making sure every member feels included, involved, and proud to be a part of FFA. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Easton Everson. I am this year's current vice president. And I agree with Sailor on a lot of things. I definitely had my enjoyment at FFA and getting our name out there. And a definite big part I love is the community outreach and service we do, like the elementary petting farms. I know we did a lot of those this year. And we just had our hired hand auction last month, right? Yeah. And we made over $14,000 in donations from local businesses. That was a really big help. And now I've heard that we might be using that money for some big trips coming up. Maybe. And it's definitely been awesome. And that's what encouraged me to run for vice president. So in my time at FFA, this year alone, I've gotten over 60 hours of community service in this club and many other associations I'm in, such as Craig Target League. And it's definitely been awesome. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I've had so much fun. But a definite thing I've wanted to do is get our name out there more. Because I feel like until I got into high school, I never once heard about FFA, and I feel like it's such a unique opportunity for students to know more. Maybe have like a junior day where we can teach more younger kids about our organization and agriculture. Because I come from a beef ranch where we grow our own cattle and sell them, and I feel like a lot of these kids don't know where that's coming from. Thank you.
My name is Hannah Hawkins, and I'm serving as a FFA chapter secretary. And I would just like to say thank you for the time given for us to speak. I just want to say that FFA isn't just a club or something that you decide you just want to pick up for fun. It's kind of like a family and not just a family. It's friendships, and it helps you grow into the person that you've always wanted to be. FFA has helped me become the person who I wanted to be through the competitions we attend, leadership opportunities, and meeting amazing new people. It's given me the confidence in myself to boost my abilities. FFA pushes me to be at my best abilities, including problem solving, thinking outside the box sometimes. It helps me set goals for myself that I may have not had before. As a chapter, my biggest goal moving into this year is to continue to grow involvement in the community. I like how Easton said we should do a junior day. I think we should go to the middle school because they don't have an agriculture program there, but a lot of them don't know what it is. And I think that once they learn what it is, they would be more interested in it because it's actually fun. It's not just boring. I want them to feel included and think that they have, not think, but I want them to know that their voice matters in anything they say. We also want them to be successful in life and not just be bums their whole life because we want people to be successful. The new members, we want them to be excited for opportunities, competitions, and leadership roles. I know this year we had a few that weren't excited for districts, but districts was fun and we had a good time. Our community service is our biggest role in our chapter, I think. A lot of people like helping out with activities because we make it fun, a lot of fun, with jokes and things. We're able to help out our school program and our agriculture program by giving us a positive look by helping out the community with our volunteer hours, giving back with our elementary petting farms. Those go so well with the community. And I think that agriculture education teaches us more than just about farming. It teaches communication, problem solving, worth ethic, and so much more. It impacts everyone every single day, while FFA helps students understand the importance of the industry while preparing for real life experiences and careers. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson Conley. I am the treasurer this year. Over the past few years, I've been at FFA. Doors have been open for me that I never expected would happen. FFA has helped me grow as a leader, become more confident in myself, and step outside my comfort zone in ways in ways that have truly bettered my life. It has given me opportunities to meet new people and discover interests I may have never explored otherwise. Because before I came into high school, I had no idea anything about agriculture. As we move forward into the next year, one of my biggest goals is to help our chapter be more well known throughout the community. Because again, like they were saying, I had never heard of FFA or anything like that until I got into high school. So, I want people to recognize our chapter for all the things we do by being more active in the community and like setting up events with like the younger, like maybe go to middle school, like they were saying, or like maybe in the elementary school or something like that. As well as building strong relationships with not only like small businesses in town and also like the families in town, because then we can get more support. Another important goal I have is to increase fundraising efforts that we do year round, so that we can make more money to do the like different things like leadership events and fun stuff like that. I believe that strong fundraising allows our chapter to participate in more of these activities, and most importantly, next year, I want to focus on bringing more people into agriculture. and FFA. Joining FFA gave me opportunities and experiences I never thought possible, and I truly believe that every student deserves a chance to discover these same opportunities. By gaining more members, we can continue to grow as a chapter and as a community. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Haley Thompson, and I am excited to be your reporter this year. This is my first year at FFA, and I already can see how much this program can help us grow, not just as students, but as leaders in our school and community. Looking ahead, one of my goals for our chapter is to get more members involved in more events and projects. I want everyone to feel like their voice matters and that we can all work together to make a difference. I think when we support each other, we can accomplish amazing things. Community service is something I really enjoy. So far, I have done 40 hours of work just this year. Some of my favorites that I have participated in this year are the donation trip, Marketplace for Kids, and the petting farm. I really enjoy teaching elementary students about ag. It feels good knowing our small efforts can really help someone else, and it reminds me on why FFA is so important. Ag education matters because it teaches us more than just farming. It teaches leadership and teamwork. As an FFA member, we have a chance to show younger students on how rewarding it is to be in this program. They can gain confidence and make new friends, learn real life skills that will help them no matter where they go. I am excited to share all the great things our chapter is doing as a reporter. And I hope this year we can learn, grow, and make differences together. Thank you.
Okay, well, my name is Andrew Lacey, and every single word in my speech has been said by every single one. So, we're probably gonna go off the top of the head, but I feel like what really needs to happen is to get known by the community and get the younger kids involved, because when I moved here in ninth grade, and I had nothing known about FFA. So I joined sophomore year, and actually Jackson was the one that invited me. And when I got into the program, I was like, okay, these people are like very welcoming, and it was very nice. And so I think it'd be very important to get the middle school known, because we like help the elementary schools and we get them to go to a petting farm or something every now and then. But then when you get to middle school, it's just like we forgot about you kind of. And so I'd like to do more like fundraising events and more stuff with the middle school, because when we're fundraising, it like allows us all to come together and create ideas that we're allowed to put together and put in motion. And so definitely this next school year, I want to start doing more fundraisers with the community, or just like get all the community involved in what we do and show them what we do, because even the parents are like, what's FFA? I don't even know. Like my grandparents were like, you're an FFA, I don't even know what that is. I was like, well, I'll teach you about it. We'll get an event and we can start it and you can come to that and we'll teach you about it. So I feel like what we really need to do is more community involvement, letting the parents know what it is and letting the students know, and that it's not just cows or sheep or whatever, that it's more like creating lifelong friendships and like being job ready when you leave high school, and just being a good public speaker, because you're gonna need that when you grow up, and you're gonna get nervous, and I promise I'm nervous right now, but it's definitely helped me though, because I used to have a very bad stutter, but over the years I've been in FFA, it's helped me become more of a public speaker and be more comfortable in what I'm saying and stand behind it. And so I feel like if that's what we could do, then that'd be very helpful. Thank you.
You guys have any questions for us? Stand up, Andrew. You guys have questions?
Board members, any questions? Any comments?
Sure, yeah.
Ms. Kilroy?
So for, some of you have said that you weren't even familiar with FFA. So how did you guys learn about FFA and how did you guys get involved?
So for me, my schedule my freshman year did not turn out like I thought it was going to, and ag was thrown on my schedule. And I was not excited at all. I did not want to do it. I thought it was going to be boring. I was just not excited. And then all of a sudden, my name was popping up on sign-up sheets that I was not putting my name on. And this lady just forced me to be involved. And then at the end of my freshman year, she basically handed me an officer application and said, like, you're going to fill this out. And then So I've been an officer for 3 years.
There you go.
And it was against my own will. But yeah, I am so happy for it. It's definitely helped me a lot.
Like I said, I come from an agriculture background in ranch, so when I was going into high school and had the option to choose my classes, I'm like, well, might as well take an agriculture class, that's an easy credit. So, and I had a god sister who was in her junior year, it would be, and she's always been around in my life, she was awesome, and she originally told me that in agriculture, there's a club called FFA, I'm like, I don't want to do a club. That sounds boring. But then over time, I started doing more with her and it got really fun. And then once she eventually became president, I thought I could do something like that as well. In which now that she's graduated, I'm now my vice president here and she was at banquet and saw me and I felt really proud of myself.
I moved from Virginia and my middle school did have an agriculture program, so I was in FFA my 8th grade year. Then my freshman year, I was like, not doing that again. Then I moved here in sophomore year, I met these people and they gave me some horror stories, but it kind of influenced me to join FFA. So I took ag, and that was probably the best decision I've ever made for myself.
So for me, when I originally went into high school, my mom basically forced me to join a club. It's like, you need to do it to look good for college applications or whatever. So I ended up joining FFA halfway through my freshman year because none of the other clubs sounded interesting to me. And I thought I was gonna join it and be like regular member, do whatever, just to like get through it so I can put it on my college. And I ended up actually really liking it, and it like changed my view on like what I want to do with my life. And yeah, so that's why I joined.
I knew a lot of people that were in FFA, and then, like the beginning of the year in agriculture, Ms. Daniels kind of like told me that I should show up to meetings, and then I showed up to my first FFA meeting and I loved it. So then I started showing up to events, and now I'm here.
I gave her an application too.
Yeah.
For me, when I lived in Wyoming before I moved here, we had a pig farm and cows and everything. So I was like, okay, well, it sounds kind of fun. But 9th grade year, I was like, that just doesn't really pique my interest. And then sophomore year, I had it, and Miss Daniels is probably one of my favorite teachers I've ever had. And so she was like, just like, come to a meeting. And Jackson was like, just come to a meeting. Just come on, do it. And I was like, all right, well, I feel like I can fit in because I play baseball. So I'm like, I feel like I can do both. And so I went and I was like, okay, like the people are very nice and everybody was just like cracking jokes. And I was like, okay, this is like something I could do. And so then sophomore year, I finished like halfway through. And then this year, I've got more involved and I've realized like it's not just more about like cattle or anything. It's more about like helping everybody out and just like becoming a better person in general. And so I thought it was very fun to join.
Anybody else?
One thing I'm impressed by is the sheer number of hours that each of you individually have given to the community or to, the chapter at large. But I'm wondering, as a collective whole, have you tracked how many hours you guys have done?
We have AET, which like, it's how we get our degrees and our applications and stuff to like move on throughout. Like, yeah, in order to get state, you have to go through that, and like you have to put in all your community service because you need like a certain amount of hours. But I don't think any of us really keep them updated, so that was kind of just an estimate.
There's a couple thousand.
Wow. That's very impressive. So I applaud you for that. And then Andrew, you had mentioned public speaking. I also want to applaud each of you for speaking to us today. I know that public speaking is often uncomfortable and it's not something we all love to do, but it is a necessary evil and it will lead you very far in your careers. So thank you.
I think you guys have really kind of proven like the value of extracurriculars. That's why we invest in extracurriculars, because it creates those pathways that connect us to learning, to where it doesn't feel like what learning is, but you guys have kind of demonstrated that. But also set the bar pretty high for the other clubs. And so we look forward to that. It's a great presentation. Thank you guys for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All you guys said more fundraising. What did you guys do this year? Because when I was at FA, we did fruit sales. We sorted fruit for hours.
Yeah, we used to do fruit sales and then what was the reason we stopped?
We didn't do fruit sales this year because the turnaround, basically the profit really wasn't as much as we figured it was worth to do that. So we did the hired hand auction, Rocky Mountain Oyster Fry, it's something I've done in the past.
Oh my God.
So we did it this year and it was amazing. So, but this community gave over $14,000.
Wow.
Can you believe it's been 5 years? This is the end of 5 years.
I can't believe you waited this long to start crying. So I'm surprised it's taken this long for you to start crying.
So, but we do 50-50 raffles, we do sessions, we did a couple of those, not nearly as many as we put out. We did the hired hand auction and oyster fry. We really haven't done very much this year. Yeah, but the oyster fry and the hired hand auction by far, we made $14,000 on that one.
How many active members? Is everybody who takes ag class, are they automatically part of that?
We are not affiliate, so that isn't ours. We have probably, I would say, about 40 active FFA members. We have 50 some that have actually paid their dues and done all of that. I think that's what they're wanting to do, is get all of those 50 kids involved and stuff. A lot of sign up just because it looks really good on scholarships and it looks really good on applications and that kind of thing. But we want them to also see that there's a lot more to it than that. So, and I don't know where they're gonna fit in more community service, because it seems like every week I'm gone for something, so.
Last question, anybody going to state convention, Fargo?
We are not. It is so hard for us to go to state convention because it's right after we get out of school. And by the time everybody gets out of school, everybody splits. And families are split, and so we got kids going in different directions. So our goal is next year to do that, but we won't be going this year.
So if you guys do go, they let you in the Red Hot games for free if you sneak in the back.
We do have 2 state degree recipients this year. They are graduating seniors. So, but then we also have several that I think should apply for a state degree next year. And I think Sailor is maybe thinking about running for a state FFA office.
Yes.
Pretty proud of myself.
Mrs. Wheeler?
I'm sorry I'm not there. This is one of my favorite presentations. I really like all the work that you guys do. Everyone did a great job, and just keep it up. And I hope all of you have bright futures moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say every year, this is always great because we get to hear from the students, and what better voice to hear from than those that are actively being educated right now. So we love it. Your students absolutely adore you. And it's evident by those whom you make sign up.
Right?
Yeah, but no, public speaking, it will take you a long way, and what you are learning goes well beyond just what's happening in your classroom and in your club. So what you give back to the community is extremely important, and we appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry.
On to item 5B now. That is going to be Harlow's presentation now.
I should have joined that FFA because I get really nervous. Here I go. Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm Katie Zufeld. I'm the transportation manager for Harlow's here in town. This is Ken.
Ken Bishop, Regional Director of Operations for Harlow. So I oversee the North Dakota locations.
He's my big boss.
Not so much.
So we're just basically here to kind of report on kind of some stuff from this year and maybe moving into next year, kind of the plans for what we have going on with some of the new boundaries and that kind of stuff. So Darla told me if I got nervous, I could look over there and she'd give me some facials, but you know. Also, I will definitely try to be less than the 10 minutes because, you know, we got lots of stuff going on.
I just want to start off really fast with kind of just our staff numbers. We have 5 full-time, 12-month employees. We have 33 part-time, 10-month employees. That's up 4 from last year, excuse me. Those are mostly our drivers. So they're 10-month employees, but we have stuff that kind of goes on throughout the summer. I have a hiring pool that I'm pulling from right now. I have 4 that are in training for their CDL. They are part of my drivers right now, but they'll get their CDL coming this summer. And then I have 2 in the hiring process right now, so they'll also be. And I have 1 more that's kind of just barely coming on. So I'll have 7 total in training for their CDL, so they'll be full on driving next year. And then the goal is to still bring on about 7 more, because that gives us extras. You know, you hear us, Conley's in here, he hears us all the time. We're low on drivers, we're low on buses. So that'll kind of give us a little bit of flexibility and some leeway and just kind of help us keep things really rolling along better. As far as assets go, we currently have 27 general route buses. We have 5 14-passenger buses. So the general route buses are usually 37 to 72, 2 seats, depends on. And then we have 11 activity buses. 2 of those are those newer, we call them the executive suites, the nicer, bigger buses that we got. So overall, we have a lot of buses. We have a lot that are out of service permanently. So we have about 9 total. We have 4 route buses and 5 activity buses that just need to phase out completely. But in total, we have 6 that are completely out of service. They're either unfixable, just too old, they still run. We've got 1 in Minot that's just sitting, it's not fixable. So kind of going into this new year, we're gonna look at hopefully kind of pushing towards 6 more buses. We'd really love to have 3 more route buses and 3 more activity buses, just to kind of get some of those out of the way and bring some of those in. So not necessarily give us more, but just give us better, if that kind of makes sense. Routes that we currently have, we have 20 general routes. So that's just anybody riding. So there's no special education on there, just general routes. So we have 20, that's up from 16 last year. Approximately 1150 students. And then we have 9 sped routes, which is up from 7 last year. It's about 90 plus students, give or take a few. So then just kind of going it back to the total students. Last year, we were only running 760 students total. That was general routes with sped routes. So 760 total. Our wait list was huge. It was phenomenally huge. This year, we're up to 1250 plus, give or take. It kind of changes, every other week, who's riding, who's not riding anymore. But anyway, we doubled our numbers pretty easily, or maybe not double, but really close to it. 500. And then this year, I kind of want to come back to this a little bit. We're going to be changing the routing just a little bit with the new boundaries and such. So I'm just going to come back to that really in just a second. Registration. So we do registration for busing always. You register, you get on the bus or you go on the wait list. And then that kind of gives us a manifest of who's on the buses, who, whatever. But it gives us an idea of what the need is. So we currently have about 280 on the wait list right now. We did just shut down registrations because with the last 2 weeks, there's no sense in us pulling people off and moving them on. It just there's not enough time. So with the changes that have to be made. But that we'll be reopening for this next school year. We'll reopen that registration June 1st. It'll be open completely until July 31st. And at that point it will shut down. This is what we did last year, just kind of made it to where we could take what we have and start throwing them onto routes and figuring that all out. And then after the school year began and we could see what the need was again, then we reopened it in September. Eventually, we're hoping to kind of get away from the wait list, obviously. There will always be a registration just because, like I said, that kind of creates our manifest for us. So we know who's riding, who's not riding, whatever. But like I said, the goal would be to where we don't have a wait list. And like I said, currently it's at 280. That's down from 600 last year. So we kind of took what was on the wait list last year and added them actually 2 routes. And then just wanted to kind of go back. So routing this year, like I said, will look very, very different. So right now our routes run they're at capacity. We have no room for anyone else to get on. There is nothing. So, and we don't have the ability to go drop them off and try to go pick up any stragglers because our routes run 2+ hours currently. So they're getting on the bus between 5:50, 6 o'clock, and they are on the bus until 8 o'clock. So it's really hard to get them there in time to even get them to have breakfast. It's a struggle. And 2.5 hours, 2 hours on the bus in the morning and in the afternoon. Yeah, that makes, it's a huge open window for behavior problems, medical problems. It's too hot, it's too cold. It's just, it opens up a lot of issues. So this year with the new boundaries, so currently, you know, we have students that maybe live right here, we bus them clear out there or vice versa. We have buses crossing when they don't need to be. So the new boundaries and the new school, we're super excited. We're gonna be able to do what we call a stacked routing. So it won't require us to need more routes. So we, like I said, we currently have 20 general routes. We're gonna run with those 20 general routes, but they're gonna essentially be able to almost double. So they'll be able to go out. We've worked with the district a little bit, and I don't think it's finalized yet, but we've got time limits where now the high school will start at a separate time and the other 2 schools will start at another time. And we'll have,
I was just gonna add, so we've been working with Harlow's, and so with the efficiencies, we've been working with our administrators so that we could get these stacked routes. So like the high school and elementaries are gonna be 30 minutes apart for drop off, so that they can double our routes. We can double the amount of kids on the buses.
so essentially like one bus will go to one area, wherever that boundary is. They'll pick up maybe high school, take them to the high school, go directly back to that same area. They'll pick up middle school and elementary and go run them. So essentially doubling the routing, because almost all of the buses will be able to do that with the exception of sped routing.
They probably broke.
No, well, the 2 rural schools will still just be one route, just because of how far they are. But they should have the ability to come back and do some flex.
Sure.
Some flex overloads and whatnot. So anyway, the idea is that hopefully we'll be able to go from that 1,200 that we have now up to 2,000-ish. That's what we're really pushing for. So.
Should be almost half of our student body, so that's huge.
Mhm.
Huge.
Yeah, so that is definitely the goal. And then just to talk about activities just a little bit. So currently, we had for the entire years over 600 activities scheduled. That includes field trips from the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools, and then all of the out-of-town sports, FFA, all the types of things that go out and do their things. We've completed just over 500 of those. We still have 2 weeks left. That's a whole lot of trips to go. About 85% of our trips, no matter what it is, requires more than one bus. And with the push for participation, that push for the need for activity buses has gone up. So it's never we never want to be like, oh, we can't take you, sorry, we just don't have space. Well, if I don't have a driver and I don't have a bus, it's like, okay, I'm getting with Conley and I'm getting with the 80 at the middle school going, all right, who's not going? Because somebody's not going. So that's our big thing with needing those extra buses. It isn't because we're bringing on more routes, but I'm currently having to take route buses and we're combining routes. So they'll run a route, come quickly back and try to do something else and run somewhere else. And we're stuffing them on the little buses and doing what we can to be able to send another route bus on an activity. So basically, I think if we had, like I said, we need to phase out the ones that are not running because they're just sitting and taking up space in the yard, which we already don't have enough space for. And so the 3 to 4 that we would need for routing and 3 to 4 for activities, I think would just meld everything together and give us all the capacity we need. So that's kind of the ultimate goal. Capacity for routes, capacity for activities, and getting everybody where they want to be. So I think that's about it.
It's a lot.
Did you time me? Am I under 10? Did I do it? We are in the 3rd year of the contract, goes up to the 7th, so this will be going into 4th. But that's kind of where we sit, so. That was a lot, sorry, I talk really fast when I'm nervous. What you got for me?
Okay, board members, any questions?
Does Harlow's pay for CDL training?
We do.
Yes, sir.
We do. Yeah, we pay them to get it. We pay for all of the training for it. We provide the whole class fee for them. So in fact, I'm a big trainer. Yeah.
So you said the routes currently run about 2 hours. What will those routes go down to? I'm assuming they'll be less.
Yep,
once reduced
they'll
to
run
these.
roughly 30, 35, 40 minutes each. Yep. Yep. And we have it set, I think, we haven't finalized everything yet, but they will be getting there hopefully 15 to 20 minutes before breakfast. So, or before school starts, they can have breakfast, because that's been one of the things they just aren't, you can't get them there.
Yeah, that's why I think I opted out of bus.
Yeah.
Because it was
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
Pickup, but then they still wouldn't get breakfast.
Right.
Like, that doesn't
make any sense. Right, well, like I said, this will negate a lot of that, they'll get there on time, it's gonna negate so much of the behavioral
Yeah.
issues that, yeah, and we have a lot. Actually, it's gone down a ton this year. We kind of set some pretty good boundaries and we were able to stick to them pretty well, but I think it's just gonna negate so many issues.
Are there 2 adults on each bus?
There's the driver, and then, are you talking about like a rider or a para?
Yeah.
Sped routes have a para on them, some of them have more than one. We have several riders from the school, they're paras that work with us, and they ride on the buses, but we don't have one for every bus. But that's also why we want all the extras, because if they're not riding or driving a route or driving activity, they will ride.
Right.
They will become a management rider, so. I don't know where.
Anybody else? Questions, Kimber?
Why do you think there are so many behavioral issues? Is it because there's so much time to kill in a sense?
Yeah, high schoolers are the easiest. They plop on their headphones and they sleep or whatever. There's not a lot of issues there unless you have somebody that's fighting. Middle schoolers, elementary, I think they get bored. They don't have anything to do. They want to be up running. This is what I tell everybody. They get told to sit down and be quiet for 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
They are not going to sit down and be quiet. They just, and you can't, yeah. And they're ready to go hang out. And especially like this time of year, it's warm, they want to be out. I think it's just the way.
And so my understanding, so Harlow's provides the drivers, the insurance, and the district is responsible for the buses. So in terms of needing 6 more buses, that is purely a district budgeting.
Right. Right, yeah. And they've come in clutch because like last year, did I put the last year's on? Let's see. I didn't put it on there, but we have 27 route buses and we brought in 5. Was it 5 we brought in last year? We brought in 2 and then 3 more. Yep.
As far as moving on from the buses that we can't use anymore, I imagine we're a public organization, so they have to go through the red tape of you have to send them to be salvaged or.
I don't know that part of it. I'm not sure.
Mr. Mike Arnold is working on that, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working with Katie too in that, trying to get maybe see if the fire department wants some of them to practice.
They've asked us
blow up.
before if we could, if we had any that they did.
Put the roosters on it.
They'll put presentations on with them and they'll light them on fire and tip them over and let them burn so you can see how fast they go. It's actually really cool for drivers to see that. We've done it before in other districts that I've been in. But they'll light them on fire and tip them over so you can see how fast it goes from the front to the back and how fast it goes from the bottom to the top. So if there's a fire, I mean, those kids got to go. We got to go. But it's kind of neat to watch. Just for an educational thing, but yeah, they're asking all the time, do you guys got any buses? And I'm like, they're not mine, but I'm working on that, so. Yeah.
In other markets, when we've had some come to the age of life where we've got to get rid of them, you're probably getting about 500 to 1,000 for salvage. So I mean, just to kind of give you guys an idea what they're probably worth. And then obviously too, fluids, different things like that, you've got to kind of get to a point where you can actually turn them in. So there's some work involved. So if you can find a way for somebody to get rid of them, fantastic. And we try to help you out there too.
Mrs. Willard?
I do not have any questions. They've already been asked. Thank you.
I have one. If you move, you're on the list.
What?
If you're on the list,
Oh,
but you move houses while you're riding the bus, do you lose your seat immediately and then have to go back through the application process?
Kind of, depends on where you move to. Now, this will change probably for next year because if they move from one one boundary to another boundary, there's still gonna be space. But currently, the thing about it was, which again is just a capacity issue, you got people on a wait list, so you move from this spot right here over to this spot and you no longer ride this bus. The bus that goes over here, it's full. So you have to put a registration back in, go to the bottom of the wait list
and wait to be put onto that bus.
I would recommend, Dr. Germanson, Mr. Arnold, that with the number of buses that are down right now and that we need to start phasing out, that there should be a multi-year phase-out plan created with the multi-year budget plan created to look at what that cost effectiveness will be to ensure that we are phasing these out long-term. That would be my recommendation.
Katie works good with us, or even Harlow,
Yeah.
finding us, I mean, we don't get brand new buses.
Yeah.
Right.
But we get some really good used ones.
Yes,
that-
we've been able to buy some lease returns in the last few years, which is almost a 2-for-1, in many cases, which really does help.
We've been able to manage it well. I think though, going forward, we should start looking at a multi-year phase-out plan, just with all the budget constraints that are happening and not knowing where we're going at the state level and what they're gonna keep giving us. And there's discussions of, what they're cutting, and that will also fall to other publicly funded entities. So I would just be aware of that and make sure that we're looking at that long term. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Moving on to item number 5C, RSP enrollment data. I do believe our presenter is online today. Yes.
Hey, good evening. I'm trying to get myself focused. Are you guys going to run the presentation there, or do you want to give me the ability to share my screen?
He's gonna give you the ability.
All right, wonderful. We'll see if we get this technology to work.
The camera moves.
Right, are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
All right, good. Looks like I see in the background. Hey, thank you. I know we had some issues trying to figure out, was I going to get to you on Teams or was I coming in as I am here on Zoom? So we're here. Let's get to business. Thank you for this time this evening. I could speak to you for 3 or 4 hours on this. You guys know that, but I am going to try to do this in 10 minutes and then allow you some questions. So as we move over to this presentation, you're familiar with the work that we've been doing with you. I know we're scheduled for a work session with you. So this is kind of a teaser. This is why I'm just going to give you that 100,000 foot perspective. So as we work through this report, there's lots of really awesome information. I'm going to try to help you understand, what does it all mean, right? So there's 4 sections. There's an appendix. Let's dig in. What do we think is going to happen to you over the next 5 years? And we think there's going to be some enrollment growth. And as you go through this report, we're trying to lay out the data. Some things that you hear from me is data informed, not data led. Big difference is the data tells us what we need to do. We don't try to have the data construct a vision of what you need to do. So that's a big difference. As we look at the elements of visuals, there's maps, you understand our district boundary. We typically will zoom into the city limits so you see where most of the action is, what our boundaries are here for 26-27. It was good to listen to that transportation. I know that was one of our concerns before all this began, was how does transportation work? Everything goes down to these planning areas. So we're trying to understand the changes that occur with, let's say, census data, our county data sets, our city data sets, our school district data sets, all of that, it goes into a statistical forecast model. So every piece of information goes back down to those planning areas. If you're not a math person, page 13 helps you understand, what does it mean when interest rates go up? What does it mean when the price for a barrel of oil goes over $100? What kind of impact can we potentially see for the number of our kids? Our big variable that starts to point towards some growth is this live birth data. So the black line represents live births in a particular year. As we see that data has been trending up as we move to the right of that vertical black line. That's a sign then that we potentially have more kindergartners 5 years later. Enrollment by grade, this gives you a sense of where we've been from the past by grade, what that might mean as we move forward. I like to focus on page 16. This is the progression, and this shows you the change that goes from grade to grade. And where you see black numbers, that's an increase. Where there's a red number, it's a decrease. So potentially we see more black numbers, right? So that's a good thing. When we look at your class sizes, another thing that points to our growth, top chart, the red candy cane striped column, that is the kindergarten class. The blue is the senior class. That red candy cane column is larger than the blue column. So we naturally just grow because there's more kindergartners than the seniors that are graduating. You'll see how things relate by attends with buildings. Migration, this is important to understand the movement of kids. We have a lot of transiency. So the green portion of the bars are those students that we were providing service to the previous year. We're not. The orange, they're new to the district. We show you this 3 years for the elementary, middle school, and high school. We show you the out-of-district analysis, so how that has changed, right? As we've lost the ability to have capacity for kids, that's why we've reduced the number of out-of-district students. We've also looked at things like your homeschool student analysis. So again, just really interesting things to try to know who's going to actually be in our buildings to serve as we build out. Lots of different maps. I like to focus on page 23. This is your heat density. Over by Hagen in the high school, look, we got lots of kids. That's the red, large concentration of students. That's been our conundrum for boundaries, right? So I'm not telling you anything we didn't talk about and that we already knew. Some of our growth that's really kind of been interesting in your district is where we have not seen a lot of new residential units come online. And that's hindered our ability to grow. So as we start to see some of that potentially loosen up, that should help some of our growth. We show you the yield rates with different housing product. That's all cool, right? Breaking it down by the elementary zones. What do we see for yield rates? Again, just to give you a sense that with housing product, where it's located, it all has different impacts. Let's go to residential inventory. This shows how we've been building inventory, and we've not built much inventory in this current decade compared to the last year's decade where we had over 10,000 units built. That's going to change though. We look at maps of where things have been built, what the value is of those homes, and where those units are being built. All of that is to help you know when we're looking at a future enrollment, we're factoring in not only the existing units changing over, but things that may be happening with new units. You'll see a map of those units. Green is where we potentially see activity over the next 5 years. Yellow, closer to 5 years. Purple, out towards 10 years. All that's tied back to this table. Again, just lots of growth potential. We've talked about on this page some of our spotlights. That doesn't even get into things that Jason and I were talking about, the Target, the Chick-fil-A, lots of other things happening that are going to pull in jobs and other attractions to Williston. So a lot of potential for growth there. What does this mean for your projections? Over the next 5 years, we have you growing to almost 6,200 students. As we get out to 2030, 31, this gives you the breakdown of the elementary red, middle school blue, high school green. We show you what that boundary map is. We'll show you the projections for the reside as we go out the next 5 years. Really, my big takeaway for you when we talk to your admin team, we need more elementary capacity. We need capacity in many different places. So when you look down at the bottom portion underneath the vertical, if you look at the elementary school total and you see dark orange, you see the middle school total, dark orange, you see the high school, dark orange, right? We got lots of capacity pressures. So in that workshop, what we're going to talk about is with Jeff Schatz and myself, like, what do we do? How do we work like the things we've been talking about with the admin team, things that you as a board are hearing, the communities maybe thinking about. How do we plan for limited dollars, right? Limited dollars and the need that's across all of our grade bands, and how bad is the need across any one of these grade bands, and is there a way that we can solve it, right, with some of our limited dollars? That's really everything I want you to take away from this. This page here helps you understand that if we're going to hit these projections, you see it by grade. If we're hitting these projections as we look at the roll up of data for next year, right? We're talking about graduation right now, but we're already starting to plan. What is it going to be for next year? Again, I've already told you my conclusions. The workshop, that's really where we're going to dig into some things with you all and really try to figure out what is the best pathway that we can look at, and how do we utilize our buildings? How does it integrate with our staffing? How does it integrate with our transportation, right? There's lots of wonderful questions that still need to be asked, more answers to dig into. I'll yield back to you as the board, or maybe Jason, you have some other comments to it as well. But questions, comments that you guys have, I know we'll talk more when we are able to meet in person, but that's what I know right now.
Dr. Jurgensen, any input before we ask for questions?
Just, I mean, we're at that crossroads, right? On what are we gonna start looking at next and start planning for? So, just met with Nick Lippert last week and looking at our deferred maintenance as well and kind of where we're looking. So yeah, it'll just be, bring some ideas and an open mind on the 18th. So.
Board members, any questions or comments? Shoot to Mrs. Willard first this time. Mrs. Willard, do you have anything?
No, I do not. I'm looking forward to the workshop though. That's June 18th, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any board members, any other questions, comments? So I think this would be, Mr. Barsh, you worked with RSP while on the school board previously already. Mrs. Willard and myself have. The data that they're able to collect for us really helps us utilize that to kind of highlight the path forward, what we want to start talking with the community about, how we want to identify next steps. So when you have some time, I know there's a ton of information here. Just go through it a little in depth. Know that on the 18th, we will get a very good thorough breakdown of it. They always do a wonderful job. And I'm sure Dr. Jurgensen and his administrative team, they're already starting to get the wheels grinding to some ideas to present to us. But this process here will really highlights the need for buildings, services, where are we going? How are we going to get there? And we have to highlight it and start looking at the budget and then start really communicating to the community. So with that, I will, yeah, Ms. Mark.
Yeah, just to, without being redundant, what I've learned is that this information tells the story of not just the school district, but what has happened in Williston over the last 20 to 30 years, better than any other source material I've seen. And it's an extremely useful engagement tool that a lot of our community members that have feelings about the school district, may not have children in the school district currently, need in order to inform their decisions, inform their support. So we have a list of maintenance, we have a priority list, and I think staff are doing a great job of marching through that. I think this will really help to rally support from that large community with the I would say opportunities ahead for the district.
Yes, the great thing with this is it gives us the authority behind the voice. It's great information. So with that, I will go ahead and let you go, Mr. Schwartz. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
See you in a month.
Yes, see you in a month. Thank you so much. We look forward to it. Board members, I'm going to go ahead and give us a recess here for 5 minutes before we get into the next one. Sorry, Mr. Conley. But I'm going to go ahead and take the 5 minutes now. We will be back in 5 minutes, everybody.
I'll include, oh, and it's. Did I tell you like that's too much? So that's expired.
Robert's been waiting all day.
We are
Fired up.
set on the agenda at 6:53. We are going to have the Power Strength Program presentation by the best athletic director in the state of North Dakota. Let's go with Mr. Conley.
All right, appreciate that. Before I jump into it, I just want to throw in a couple of notes about FFA and transportation. The one thing that one of the young ladies said was about work ethic. And if you want to see people work hard, you go watch those kids. They work extremely hard. Mrs. Daniels is about as committed as you can be to FFA. And she loves those kids and she works so hard for them. And Mr. Tuttle, he shows up and helps out at basketball games with supervision just because. Like he comes without us even asking to help us out. And so that's a good demonstration and role models as far as working hard and giving back. We don't even ask for that. They do that. In transportation, they play Tetris with drivers and buses and do all those things. And I mean, we have over 450 some odd trips and we haven't missed any because of them working hard and finding ways. And Casey and I and Katie and I, we talk at 3 a.m. in the morning sometimes and 5 a.m. for other trips that leave. And I never have to call them more than once. They answer first time. And so I couldn't be more grateful to them. All right, so on to my stuff. You see Michael on the screen. I never call him Michael. We always call him Sylvie. So we see Sylvie on the screen. I've got a quick presentation to just talk about some of the things. This thing's ready for me to start clicking on it. Well, as he gets it going, this presentation is to expand on something that we have now for an ability to give back to our kids and to help enhance their performance and their safety. We try to reevaluate what we do, and the root of our thoughts are we doing everything we can for our kids to help them be successful and to give them the tools to be successful and to help our coaches be successful. And so as we got to thinking about it, we thought, well, what else can we do? And so one of the things that we found is that we're trying to expand at the middle school with the second weight room that Mrs. Zimmerman and I, or the middle school and the activities department, are working together to create, to allow to have more kids be in the weight room, get more instruction and all those things. And so as we were doing that, we thought, well, what can we do to make that really be kind of the foundational piece of what we do? And so what the plan is, clicking it, I don't know if it's working for me. You knew that would happen to me because I can't do it. Well, what the plan is for us to expand on the Sanford Strength and Conditioning. Yeah, there we go. All right. One more that way, to the right. There we are. The plan is to expand upon the agreement that we have with Sanford right now, where I call it a 2-for-1. We were able to fund a strength and conditioning coach to be in our school, and with that, Sanford provides an athletic trainer to our district at no cost. And so with the enormous amounts of kids that we have in the middle school, Dr. Jermison, I was just joking, but we have 235 middle school track athletes. So with all of those athletes, we want to be able to give them give them an avenue to be coached up and to be trained starting at the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level, specifically and intentionally. And so what we want to do is we want to hire a strength and conditioning coach and bring on that athletic trainer as well, that we can place almost permanently in the middle school and be able to service those kids along with the weights teachers that they have. I talked with Audrey and Mr. Hester, and our weights class at the middle school is the most requested class that they have, and it's the one that they have to turn kids away from the most. And so that was the idea of creating that second weight room, to now we can provide those kids with that class that's the most requested. And if we are able to bring in the strength and conditioning coach, now we're able to give them expert level instruction and the classes that they want. So see if this works for me, or you might have, I'll leave you there. So we just talked about the why. That's a little distorted, but the main reason why is the pictures on the right, not the wording on the left. What we're able to do is give them provide them with an athletic trainer that provides safety first for our athletes. So we're able to give more coverage than just what we have right now. We're able to use those 3 athletic trainers that we would have to be creatively used amongst our schedule to have coverage for our kids. We're going to give them high-level instruction like I talked about, and be able to do things in the weight room at a younger age that'll help them prevent injury and help them become bigger, faster, stronger, and better athletes. To expand upon the why, we have Sylvie, and I will let him give his 2 cents regarding our program, his assessment of it, the long-term potential impact it has, and some of the other things with his expertise.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. I think when you hear these things and you see things, I've been fortunate enough to visit Williston High School numerous times since the fall of 2023, and I've gotten to see the evolution of the high school strength conditioning department, not only in how things are conducted and ran, but also the interactions and confidence of the student athletes that are in those classes and participating. The middle school allows you really to set a foundation to see the numbers continue to grow from a confidence standpoint, not only from an execution of how do we do things, but also from a comfort level with the individuals that are running the program. The numbers have grown substantially, not only from the bigger, faster, stronger components that were touched on by Mr. Connolly, but also in terms of the commitment and buy-in from the student athletes at Williston High School. Roughly 6 to 7% of your high school student athletes are going to have the opportunity to participate at the collegiate level. What's missed is the ability of confidence, safety, injury reduction for these individuals who are not playing at the collegiate level, who will go on to live a healthy lifestyle as something we're combating on a national level with the continued growth of technology and maybe not having the comfortability or confidence to participate in activities once they get past that high school time frame. So I'm open to any questions that may come up later, but I think the ability to get someone at the middle school level is definitely something that is leading from the front that not a lot of other locations are currently doing, and will only set the students up for success as they move forward in their time at Williston High School.
Okay, we'll let him be able to answer any questions here in a second. We'll bump to the next slide. Here are some numbers, and that might be hard to see. But so what we've done is with our athletic period that we have during the day, our strength and conditioning coach, Jacob Sanders, he tracks all of this data. We use apps, we use different measurements, we use equipment with different types of laser technology, the whole bit. And we use that information to help track data for our students. And on average, here are the numbers of growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year from last year with the kids that are in the athletic period. So it's a very specific group that is in there from August through May. Their bench press increased by 23%, their back squat increased by 22%, vertical by 12%, broad jump by 8%, and their flying tens by 3%. And to put the flying tens in perspective, and we're not saying our kids run this fast, but this is just a perspective thing. If you began the year running a 4.640, you finished the year running a 4.440. So 3% in time is a huge growth and a huge number. And so these are just some of the data that we've tracked. Obviously, and I tell Jake all the time, this is us trying to figure it out. So there's some things that weren't perfect to begin with that we're going to try to make more perfect or make better as we move forward. And with that, I think you'll see an increase in these numbers. I think you'll see the system run better. And so, but this is with our first attempt at it. These are some of the increases and some of the numbers that you've seen. And then just finally, for my last slide, there weren't a lot of slides, just key points to remember: 210, 2 positions, 1 cost, 0 impact to the general fund. It'll be something that we will be covering out of the activities fund fundraising accounts, the 06 account. So we're not asking the district to give us any more money. We're just asking the district to let us spend the fundraising money that's in our account already on a yearly basis. Leading from the front, like Sylvie said, Williston's going to become the example of what training and care looks like for all student athletes. We want people in our state and surrounding areas to look at Williston and say, this is what we want to have. This is what we should have. How come Williston has it and we don't? We want to be the example. And then programming that works, we showed the numbers. This is an enhanced ability to promote our sustained program for our athletes from the middle school level on. They're going to get 6 years of this type of training, this type of care, and this type of instruction to be as good of athletes as they possibly can, and just protect them as best as we can. We may not win every football game, we may not win every softball game, but we're going to give these kids and our coaches the tools to make them as good as they can. Because at the end of the day, we want to pour everything we can into our athletes and do everything we can to give them the chance to be successful and to have a great experience. And so that's why we think that this is a really good project, a really good program to do. And we'll be at the front of this. And I think that what we're doing here will catch on around other places, and they're going to try to play catch up to us. And so this is an informational thing because it felt like a good day to have another presentation. We will have all the paperwork and legal documentation and stuff ready for your next board agenda. I can't imagine it being, I think it'll be identical to the one that was passed from before when we've done this. If not, it'll be very, very, very similar. Any questions for us?
I would say in the weekly update, if you could include some pictures of our new middle school weight room, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a really great project, and I won't tell you guys too much about it because I don't want to steal the thunder with if Audrey and I are able to present it to you guys. But it's Sylvie can give a little bit of testament to that. I think that our middle school weight room, which will be our second one in the middle school, would rival most other places' high school's weight room.
Board members. Any questions?
So yeah, you said contract details will come, and the funding for it will come out of activities fundraising. So is there any, as far as like how, is it annual contracts? And it is tied to sort of the fundraising baseline of the activities?
Right, so it's an annual contract, and we get it approved every year through the board to continue doing that. It's something that we will be able to make sure that we have enough funds in there. We do a really good job of fundraising. I've got a really good group that stays on top of that. We actively do things. We have things in place like the scoreboard, for example, that generates yearly income registration fees that we can take and pour those back into our kids. So yes, you pay to participate in athletics and activities, but on the athletic side of things, we can use that money to in turn give right back to you with the training and the facilities and things like that. And so it'll be something that we would have approved every year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, board members? Mrs. Willer?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Just as a reference for contracts, every year we have to annually sign a contract for anything that we're involved with because we can only sign one-year agreements with any organization. Even our rental agreement for this building can only be signed in one-year increments. Though we have a long-term written out agreement of what it is, we cannot sign a lease or a contract for longer than 1 year. So just for clarification. Other than that, Ms. Conley, thank you as always. I love anytime you can say it's not touching the general fund.
There you go.
It's 2 for 1.
2 for 1.
2 for 1, not touching the general fund.
I can have
yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to 5E, monthly financial report. Mr. Arnold.
Good evening, everyone. As you can, have we had a chance to look, things are moving along pretty smoothly. We're starting to get all of our tax revenue in as the tax bills have been being paid. And so everything is kind of starting to catch up and even out for the end of the year. So just big things, some big things that we have. I don't know if this probably doesn't work, but just the biggest things that we have coming from now until the end of the year is payroll. We've got, so the teachers will get paid out their contract over June, July, and August. They still get their monthly checks for the 12 months. But our 9 and 10-month folks will be falling off in June. So it kind of evens out with what we have left for the teachers and the admins and everything. So, and then we have some year-end purchasing coming in. So they've been kind of harping at admins, to watch their budgets. And so some have been kind of planning and making sure, for wants at this kind of time of the year versus needs, depending on what their budget is. So, so they've been doing good with looking at that and working that over. So, and then two, we're starting to look, for next year, got planning going. I mean, we've been planning for quite a while because of the big migration with where we're at and what those changes look like. And of course, the audit. So I did talk with them this morning. I do have some preliminary things, and I guess one good thing is there was only 10 items that they hit on. Of course, they're significant material things, but they are just finalizing these, and with, not sure if it'll be this week, but maybe possibly next week, they'll get the preliminary stuff out to you folks to review before it goes out. And then in the June board meeting, then either they'll be here or be remotely through Zoom or Teams or whatever to go over the audit and answer any questions that you folks will have. But with that, they've also given me some preliminary cash fund balance figures. So I'm able to start now working on those projections for the next few years. And then along with the kind of the updated figures that we got for the kind of the population growth and student growth and things that will help better kind of hone in what those figures look like. So that kind of gives us an idea of where we need to be for staffing coming up, things like that. And then the other thing that you're kind of asking about was the cost of election. So of course we have the election coming up in June, but as of right now, we have approximately 300 absentee ballots that have went out. So we're looking, give or take, about $300 is kind of what I'm figuring for postage. So the one thing too is that since we're at the same time as the county and city election, a lot of people are doing their absentees for that, in which the county then has to send over to us, and then we have to send them out because it's, everybody generally just checks all the check boxes for which write-in or which mail-in ballots and stuff they want to get. So we get all of those also. I think I've had 2 people come here and fill out an absentee application. So, but then to the workers, so I try to use our own people. So the only thing that really costs for the election would be from like 4:30 to whenever we get done counting ballots and things like that. So, and kind of looking at about $500 or so there. And then this year, because I had bought enough for last year, and we've got envelopes for all of the absentee ballots. So that, usually runs, depending on how many I have to get, but maybe around another $500 or so. So, I mean, the elections, as long as we're running them, really maybe 1,500 to 2,000 at the most. Whereas if we ever do a monetary election, where we either do another bond or look at things like that, I need to get some clarification from NDSBA, but the way it stands, the county is supposed to do those elections for us, in which not sure what they would charge us to do those. So it would be significantly higher than what we can do them for. But like I say, if we ever come to that, I'm gonna see if, if that's a must that the county has to do them, or we're able to do them ourselves too, so. Questions?
Board members, any questions?
One more time, what year is the audit for?
So it's for 23 and 24. And then once we get all this settled, we'll schedule the 25, and then probably by the time they get the 25 finished, we'll be ready for 26. So we're getting there. And then we're gonna be on our every year.
On
Gonna get
time.
That's the goal, is getting back on schedule so that we can open it up to.
Other owners, right?
And the other thing too is if we ever do need to go for another bond or anything, by not having our audits done doesn't look good for us as far as like the bonding companies, the interest rates that we could get and things like that. So it's dire need that we've got to get these done and caught up.
So they should have that out soon. And then I think that'll be nice to finally be on time, because it's been a few years since we've got to see one. And the biggest thing is as board members, our greatest opportunity to see what's going on in the business office is through the audit process. That's where we see, since we're not in the building day to day, we don't have access to the staff in that manner. We're not handling the paperwork for them. We're not getting the documentation. This is our way to figure out where we have inadequacies within the district that can be dealt with. I will say, Mr. Arnold was not business manager during this time, so we want to be very aware that most of the items that are going to be found were during non-business manager time. We had hired a firm at one point to help handle that paperwork. And we were in between business managers, had a business manager, all those other changes. So I think it's extremely important that when we utilize it, we do recognize that Mr. Arnold has made the majority of the changes necessary already, if not all of them going in. So.
And on top of it, it's a state statute that you're supposed to have an annual audit, so. So that affects things at the state level too, which they've been giving us a grace period, so.
Do you know when your response will be ready for them, for you to send back?
I've preliminarily started on it, but so that when I get the final from them, that I can just plug in and update what needs to be. But yeah, so I'm assuming I'll have to kind of get with them that, by our next June board meeting, I'll have, the responses ready to go for that to be. I don't really know if you guys need to approve them, but you'll have them for your information and stuff too, so.
It's my recommendation that the response document that is presented be approved by the board and then monitored by the board as part of the financials, to ensure that as things are happening, you can present to the board, this is what we've done. We can roll this off of that document now because it's daily practice. And so ensuring that we're monitoring when things are occurring that are responses to the document is my concern, because that's where things get lost, is that communication back to say, this is what we fixed, this is how we fixed it, and this is how we're doing it going forward. And ensuring that that becomes day-to-day practice, so that during the next audit, if we're told, hey, we've done this, but it's showing up still with the auditors, then we would have to reevaluate that process there. So I would recommend it be a board approved document and then board monitored.
Are there any findings that you are kind of expecting to not come off based on operations?
One of the ones is segregation of duties. I mean, we're kind of at that point as far as staffing in the business office that we have a pretty good separation of that. But it all kind of depends too, how much the auditors change, but also too, it's kind of set by the state what the auditors have to look at. So, like in prior school that I was at, that, it was basically me in the business office with the superintendent's secretary. So I mean, that was just every year we got the same finding with segregation of duties because we didn't have the people. So, but it's a thing that they have to test from the state setting, for the audit, what needs to happen. And so it's just, we expected it, so.
That one I've heard is classic across government agencies, a segregation of duties due to staffing issues.
Somewhat of a toss-up, yeah. In our world, the park district world, almost all organizations have that one because your finance office it would be too large, right? It's an operational decision to navigate the needs of the operation without creating, I would say, fluff, right? Having staff that's there just.
Kind of the pieces that are big piece that I'm concentrating on is just the banking and the cash and the check writing. So just in the last month, we've implemented called Positive Pay at the Bank, kind of to help with fraud and all of that stuff. But every time we write a check, we load the file to the bank so that when those checks come back, it has something to check against. And then if it doesn't match up correctly, then we get a notice or an email from the bank to go in. Is this a legit check? So I just make sure that an AP person that prints the checks isn't loading, and like myself or my assistant then do those verifications, limit who has access to the bank account. And so a lot of times with the auditors, even if we can show that we're cognizant of those things and doing something to at least significantly alleviate, they'll maybe not give you a finding on some of that stuff. So and that's one nice thing too, where, it's nice to be able to put out your RFP for auditors to save money, and it could be a bad thing too, if you have a same auditor forever, they get comfortable with you, you get comfortable with them. So like 5 years or 4 years, it's nice to switch out auditors just to kind of see if there's things that, maybe slip through the crack. But
if you're gonna go through multiple indentures, then it's probably safe to stay with the same auditor. But, I think it turns into an engagement piece a little bit. Reading an audit is not like reading a book, but people will, run with what they hear and direct it straight to operations. When that's someone we realize is the segregation of duties is the one that sticks, and needs to be educated. Some context provided with that one.
And just having that good working relationship with the auditors helps a lot when going through the audit. Because I mean, they're not out to gotcha. It's they want to help as much as they can too. So.
Board members, any other questions? Mrs. Wheeler?
No, I do not have any questions. Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arnold.
You bet.
We will move on to item number 6, monitoring operations. 6A, approved results policy 1, expanded pre-K.
I see.
Thank you.
Bunch of people squinting. All right, I'm gonna have Kenzie Brown come up here, our CTE and pre-K director. We'll be talking about R1, which is expanded pre-K goals, which is exciting, the things that we are doing for this next year with our pre-K. So I'm gonna start off by saying that I'm compliant and Brown is gonna take us through some of those things.
Yes.
Nathan, you pull up the, thank you.
Yeah, we'll start with 1.1. So we are continuing to make strong progress towards this goal. I believe we will reach it as we move into the 26-27 school year, which is coming up quickly. So we are, all right, we are expanding our Best in Class Future Coyotes classrooms next year. There we go. All right, so we're expanding those Future Coyotes. We have our Best in Class classrooms right now. We have one classroom in the Bakken, with 20 kids, and then 2 classrooms in Lewis and Clark with 20 kids each. So 3 teachers, 3 paras, and then a floating para between the 2 locations. So we are gonna meet this goal by serving 80 students compared to our 60 students this year. Those students have already been selected and notified for next school year. We actually had our own little pre-K signing day the other night last week, and we had a great turnout. Most of our families actually showed up. They're excited. This is a lot of their first experience in the school district. So that was great that they came out and just asked questions, and they didn't get to, we will be moving as well. So they didn't get to see the classrooms, but we had a little table set up. They could ask questions and just get familiar with the location. That'll be ASB Pre-K Center. So we focus on low income first and students with IEPs. Then we focus on our Williston Basin School District families, and then we open it up for open enrollment. We actually closed enrollment at 150 families that filled up right away. So we still have a wait list of about 80 students, and then we cut it off just because we can only get so many, and we don't want families, when we tell them you're on a wait list, banking on getting in, so we shut that. And then that reflects our ongoing commitment to meeting increasing demand in our community for early childhood while ensuring access to our highest need students. And that was the goal when we started the Future Coyotes, was really focusing, because we do have private preschools in the community, but no public options. Same as the state, not a lot of public options. So I think that's great that Williston is doing that. So that is our 1.1. 1.2, we are progressing towards this goal as well, which we will meet next year moving into the ASB Pre-K Center. We will move all Future Coyotes, so the Bakken ones and the Lewis and Clark classrooms will all be together, as well as you heard Mr. Boston talk about their ECSE, the early childhood special ed rooms, as well as the McVeigh ones, will all be in the ASB Pre-K Center. So they're going to be around their same age peers, which has never happened before, which is really exciting. And then we'll be able to, depending on students' IEPs, we will put ECSE downstairs, Best in Class will be upstairs, and then we'll be able to integrate those students based on the needs of their IEPs into those classrooms. So we'll have recess together, we'll have lunch together. So we're really excited for those students to just be all together. ECSE will still run on the same hours. Future Coyotes will still run 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. as well. And so that move will create a unified, inclusive early childhood environment and increase those opportunities for all those students while still focusing on low-income IEPs and our school district families. So I'm also excited for pre-K staff to be able to PLC together and just collaborate that we haven't been able to do. So we've hired Amanda Diamante to be pre-K coordinator, and she'll also teach a classroom. And then we have the same Best in Class coaches that they are really excited to see this western side of the state. The Lieutenant Governor was out in February. They're gonna kind of model our pre-K center for the rest of the state. So we're really excited for, I think we'll be getting a lot of coverage, which is exciting. And they'll be using our early childhood for the rest of the state, which is good.
Questions?
Board members, any questions?
What will be the total students at the, including the special ed?
Special ed will fluctuate. We'll have 80 for our future coyotes. That's the max we can take. And then the ECSE will kind of fluctuate based on need. They're about 100 to 120 right now is what they estimate, but we know that'll grow when the time comes.
Essentially
Yeah.
200 kids in
Yeah.
this one building.
Yeah, I think it'll be full with little ones.
A lot of littles.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, go visit if you need some sunshine in your day.
Board members, we would be looking for a motion. Dr. Germanson believes that he is in compliance. So we would be looking for a motion of interpretation is reasonable, evidence supports compliance, or you can request follow-up or consider a policy revision. What say you?
I move that interpretation is reasonable and evidence supports compliance for R1.
Ms. Sluter, motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Wheeler with second. Board members, any discussion? Thank you very much for growing the program. We will miss you when you're gone. So you know that you're an extremely important part of what is going to be occurring over there. So thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, guys. This is a great board. Thank you, Mrs. Overland, for stepping into it. It just keeps getting better and better with all of you. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Paula, you can call the roll.
Sluter.
Aye.
Overland.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries. Dr. Jimison, great work on that. That's been a big one for the community.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting.
Moving on to 6B, approve operational expectation, 10, learning environment and student behavior. Who will be presenting on that?
Okay, so superintendent shall establish and maintain a learning environment that is safe, respectful, and conducive to effective learning. This talks mostly about discipline. I have two of my best APs here in our district, Tyler Hazer from Central Campus and Mark Hennig at the high school. And if Nate, you can pull that up, they're going to talk about some discipline and the things with BAR and the different things that we have implemented to keep our kids safe and on track. Mr. Hennig, please take it away.
Before we start, we're going to come back to BAR, but I do want to say one of those Wilkinson first grade teachers is my wife. I see the work she puts in and I see what she does, and for her to get that is amazing. I'm so proud of her and she was so happy with that. She works so hard. So I've got to give a shout out to my wife for just being an amazing teacher. So sorry, but yeah, gotta do it. So we're talking a little bit here about the learning environment, safe, respectful, conducive. It does come back to, I know Dr. Germanson said behavior, but what we're trying to do is build relationships so that we establish those things with the students. And then that builds a level or puts equity into the bank. So then when you have to deal with situations, you can do that. We are in our first year of full implementation of BAR with the freshman teams. We've had the teams before, but this is our first year where we have truly taken the BAR model. And I do like what you said earlier. BAR is going to look different everywhere. It's a model. It's not a program. It's something where you're supposed to look at the entire student, which there's so much alphabet soup, but it does fit all of it. It fits the PLC of the teams going together, working towards kids learning. It fits MTSS, which is the intervention-based supports. It fits the GVC, the Guaranteed Viable Curriculum, because it's what they should be learning. Everything goes in there. It's all together. We are having meetings this year. There's been some bumps. It's an adjustment, having our teachers meet. There's personalities involved. There's routines. We do see a lot of benefits in that. I do think part of one of the reasons we've seen some upkicks in some of our behaviors that we're catching is because we know the students better. And so we're digging in deeper and we're trying to be proactive in preventing and making a safer environment. So we've been a little bit more proactive. If you listen to when Mr. Hazer's gonna stop in here and he can talk, they've actually seen a decrease in a lot of things. And
Yeah, so there's a paragraph in there that says that
across the district, it's increasing with behaviors. And some of that is because we're monitoring it better. We're making sure that we're paying attention to what the behaviors are and how to do them better and catch them earlier. So then we're catching behaviors. So we're in our third year of BAR, and you've all been very well versed in BAR with all the schools that presented. But we're also in our third year of a major change at the middle school. Like we made a major change 3 years ago. We've done a lot of things, and we have noticed through the BAR process that we've decreased in our chronic absenteeism. We've decreased in our number of failing students and decreased in our behaviors across those 3 years, which when you made that giant change to see those decrease on all 3 years, that's saying something. So I think there's a system in place to help that. And back to this, I think that's a system that we have in place, that Dr. Germanson has in place to help us with that. But we still have those kids who they're non-negotiables. Non-negotiable behaviors, doesn't matter how our relationships are with those kids. They're non-negotiable behaviors, or their behaviors that just won't stop. So another thing we want to talk about, and what we talked about a little bit, is the OSS Center has been huge for us. It's allowing those kids, because we know the kids don't have a lot of support at home in some cases. So some of those kids are the high needs, high risk kids. Those are the kids that we're suspending, or the kids that we're expelling when we have to. Having that OSS Center, so they're still learning, has been a huge impact to our process. So.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with the OSS Center was, I mean, obviously, when you suspend a student, you don't want them out of the classroom. They're not going to learn, but you also have to provide a safe environment. And so we have kind of, hammered down on some non-negotiables and some safety issues. I think that's part of keeping an active, healthy school environment, is that when students see that you're separating these students that are causing unsafe situations, and you're doing it more to make sure that everybody's safe, you do start to see there's going to be a little rise because you're hammering down more, but you start to see the results and where that goes. So this year is an uptick in our OSS, our ISS. I'm not going to lie. There's another reason for that I'll talk about, but we do see, and this is something I worked with Dr. Germanson for many years, and we always worried about, okay, if we send them home, their parents have to work. Are they going to play video games all day? Are they going to watch TV? Who's supervising them? Instead, developing this center where they're still under our staff, still getting a member of our staff goes there every day to give them work, to check in on them. Our social workers check in. The relationships we're building. The thing that we struggle with, and that's tough for staff sometimes, is these kids don't have a lot of relationships. That's why they're acting like this. And unfortunately, then one of their positive relationships is the OSS and the ISS one. And then teachers get to be, oh, they're just going to go down, they're best friends. Well, somebody has to be their friend. Somebody has to build that relationship. Somebody has to care about some of the kids that nobody cares about. That's what these staffs do. And that builds this environment. So while we do see upticks and we do see things, there's so many more things involved in being more preventative and proactive than reactive. So BAR for us, we're getting going. I think it's a great thing. It does a lot. We got some presentations in there for you. Like I said, I am a huge believer in the OSS Center. Just seeing what it allows, probably needs to be like 18 times as big as it is. But that's unfortunate, but I do like it, and some kids just need that, and we need to keep our schools safe. We do try to use like if-then behavior matrices. We're adjusting ours. We'll be developing a new one that's based a little bit more on the elementary, like Wilkinson had the if-then. It outlines much more clearly exactly what behavior is non-negotiable, what the reaction is, and then how we're going to keep track of what happened. BAR gives us more data, so we're seeing a lot more data on these students. You're seeing this student likes this teacher, this student likes this. The building relationships part is, it seems common sense, but you also have to make it foundational. So that's what we're doing there. I mean, you've probably heard, I'll move on to Thraptor. We saved a life this year. We had a student, I was in that room. I saw him die. The parents have been very open about talking about this. The paramedics told us there's probably only one other place in the world that student would have been and survived that, and that's in a hospital. We had a staff member there in 90 seconds. We had EMTs there in less than 5 minutes. We saved a life. I'm sorry, it was tough, but that's Raptor. That's what that did for us. That kid's walking around our building right now. So for Raptor to keep us safe in that way, that, I mean, and I hate to say it because you get like every incident, you get one. And so there's times where you're like, oh, am I gonna, I'm Raptor again. But after that, I run every Raptor. So, yeah, we, that saves us that one is, this has been a year. So,
Talk about Raptor for just a second. So we've had to kind of edit how we use Raptor as well in our school. Again, we have lots of staff and lots of kids, 1,700 kids on campus. So rather than a text message that says there's an emergency, what do? You run to that emergency. You're running down the hall, you're rushing down the hall. We learned that that's making kids panic. Kids that have nothing to do with the situation are like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So with Raptor, we're able to communicate in there that it's a medical hold, it's whatever it is, so that you don't have to all rush there. We all get there, but then we also leave early. If we don't, who's needed here? We need 3 people, we need 5 people, we need 1 person, and then the rest get to go back to their normal job, and we can deal with those Raptors, and that helps us communicate that quickly and easily so that we're not scaring everybody that doesn't need to be scared. So.
Yeah, and that comes with training and knowing the difference between team assist, medical emergency, hold, secure, all of that we've implemented to make sure that, yeah, we know what's what. Our SROs are some of the best. I mean, they save the life, but they're also, you should see the relationships they build. We've got 2 of the best human beings in our building, Nick Nelson, Chase Cook. I work very closely with them quite a bit. I consider them my friends, and they are so good at what they do. And I wish we could have more SROs. I know it's money, but gosh, getting them in there in a positive light with some of these kids, and they have that, it's been making all the difference. I've worked with all the SROs over the years, and we have some dandies. We have some amazing people.
You have 2 of the best 4.
Yeah.
But same thing. Those relationships he was talking about, those guys make great relationships with these kids that don't necessarily have relationships. So.
Yeah. With us growing, we are probably going to need to increase our behavioral staff. One thing we're trying to do is just being able to monitor the school more. We have a large school. We have built stations in on each floor to have more staff visible. We just need to be able to staff them constantly. They're in the main entryway. They can watch both of the bathrooms as needed. That's where most of our issues stem from. Right now we have the ISS person. We have a dean of students who is doing wonderful things this year, Shannon Eldred. We're hiring another behavioral interventionist dean of students that I'm really excited about. We have a couple of staff in there, and they all have different strengths, and they work really great together. And so we've been very fortunate that they also are not just there to be the bad guy, but building relationships. And that's what BAR is doing for everybody. And we want to get them more involved in all of this. Yeah, we talked about OSS. This one, I can kind of talk about the gorilla in the room. Our ISS, the number of students that have received ISS at the high school this year is tripled. Part of that is because we have probably the most strict cell phone policy in the state, and students are fighting. They are really battling to try and keep those phones on them. We require them to have them in a yonder pouch, locked away, as part of the state law that says you must have your phone secured in a way during bell-to-bell instruction. Students are putting burner phones in. Students are keeping them in their pockets. They're saying they lost their yonder pouch. At the beginning of the year, they damaged a bunch of yonder pouches. I became very good at fixing them. It has been, we were trying to really hammer down. It's something we need to reevaluate and see what's working, what's not, and kind of try to go with the state on that. But we did put in that if you get caught with your phone out, and we were checking to make sure, you get ISS immediately for the rest of the day. Well, now a third of our students have had ISS at least once. So that has definitely been something that we're going to reevaluate. We wanted to go hard right away to try to hopefully make it a deterrent, but yeah, it's just a constant. I mean, students are like octopi. They try to get out of jars, and they're usually good at it.
So I'm going to go the other direction. I can't say this empirically, but with the things that Ms. Zimmerman has put in place at our campus and the BAR process, we've gone the other direction, like I said earlier. So my first couple of years, I had a lot of expulsion recommendations, superintendent. This year, we've only had 2, which might sound like a large number, but we've had much less than in the past, 300% decrease in recommendations for expulsions. So I think that the processes, again, that we have in place across the district are working.
And sometimes you do get those classes that have a few more negative role models than others. And I believe that, you know, it happens. We've had more expulsions this year than ever before. Usually we don't move to expel unless it's a felony, basically. So that's kind of what we're not just going to expel you for things unless you're really bringing in safety issues and unsafe environments or trying to make other people unsafe. One thing I will say, I think we've been a little bit more, I don't know the word. We've gone for some expulsions in some cases because we know that we can still provide services in many cases. We've recommended still providing educational services while separating the student from our environment so that they can keep educating. Because we do know that when you get expelled, you lose that year of school. We don't want that. I always want every student to be able to learn and grow. And so sometimes on those, we're like, hey, we have the OSS center now. We'll expel and send them there and they can keep their education going. So that's also a positive, I think, in that center at least, and building that and developing that more. But we definitely have had we've had a very busy year at the high school. So, but I feel we're trending in the right direction.
Board members, any questions?
So are those high numbers of ISS, I guess, yeah, ISS is for the cell phones specifically. I mean, have they grown throughout the year? Like
Yeah.
each month you have more kids in ISS because of the phones?
We probably have 10 students in a day. And it's the majority of them are phones. We do, sometimes a teacher might just need a period break. And so the students will go to ISS. We're trying to figure out different ways to do that. Obviously the best place for a student to ever be is in the class, but if they're disruptive, you've got to figure out the balance. And that's our job. But I would say right now it's definitely, everybody's a little tired in the spring and, you know, everybody's a little squirrely. I've been using the word squirrely a lot this year. That's my word. I would say the vast majority of the ISS is up. We also do though, when we OSS a student, we also do place them in ISS as a transition back into the school.
And does that happen often? Like going from OSS back?
Every OSS we give, like every out of school suspension, not expulsion, we do give them a day of ISS where they meet with the social worker and transition back. Just so that we kind of say, hey, this is what you did. This is how we want you to work in the future. Let's make some changes and be better. So we do have that process in place to try to go.
Any other questions?
Is it expulsion from, like, if a freshman is expelled, can they come back their sophomore year or are they out of the district entirely?
No, it depends. The state has changed some laws. If it's like a weapon or a violent offense, it can be 365 days. Some expulsions determine right there that it's for the rest of the school year. I haven't seen a lifetime expulsion. Usually I think the longest the state allows is 365 days, 1 calendar year.
Any other questions? Okay. With that, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Germanson, you said you were in compliance.
That's great.
Okay. Board members, we would be looking for a motion that interpretation is reasonable and evidence supports compliance, request for a follow-up, additional info, or consider policy revision.
We've got the monitoring report for all E10 learning environment, student behavior is reasonable and compliance.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, could you call the roll?
Overland,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Barge,
Aye.
Sluder,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Dinner.
Moving on to item number 7, committee reports. We did not have a governance committee meeting this prior month because we didn't have anything to discuss on the schedule at this time. But we did have a planning meeting. Mrs. Willer, were you going to present on that?
Yes, I'm just pulling it up. Yeah, we had our planning meeting. We went over Slolan, where we're at with that. Also, excuse me, the boilers at Lewis and Clark and that plan. And then took care of the plan moving forward for school pictures, especially at that elementary level. Moving forward, the district's going to handle that with the individual principals. The report as a whole is in the board book, and it is very well done. So thank you again, Paula, for that. I don't have anything else to add other than what's in the report. So if either of the ladies have something to add, please do so. Excuse my voice.
Mrs. Sluter, Ms. Kilgore, do you have any additional information? Nope. No. All righty. Thank you, Mrs. Wheeler. Moving on to matters reserved for board action. 8A is authorize Mr. Swint to sign the plat documentation for the land swap with Williston Parks and Rec. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Johnson. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second by Mrs. Overland.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, Paula, could you call the roll?
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
I'll abstain.
Sluter.
Aye.
Overland.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. 8B, approve the governance committee's recommendation to board policy GC5. We do have language printed out for this motion, if anybody would like to tee it up.
I move to amend board policy GC5 as presented on the first reading and waive the second reading to expedite the policy adoption process per policy BDA.
We have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Paula, could you call the roll?
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Overland.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item 8C. So this came back to the board through DPI. We have to individually say that we've made this vote previously. We have to individually say the schools. Figure it out.
Ms. Ratzak, if you just give us a second, she could kind of clarify some things for you.
So what they do is our minutes don't, our agenda didn't reflect what the minutes did, and so they really want everything to match. So they have to approve each individual by itself. So that way, when it's typed in the minutes, it's gonna be very specific, exactly like it's read. So it'll be approved like that, so they get the minutes, so they can approve all of that for our school district. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Like it wasn't broken down,
It was.
the motion, it was, and it wasn't broken down enough, so we're breaking it down by school, so it's just gonna be just like a.
Every one of these has to be approved. I just got a letter today that said that one of them wasn't approved because it's not done like this. So,
Okay.
So we have to approve Hagan and then move it, like each.
no, just read 8C as is.
Oh, read it.
Yep.
Yes, 8C as is.
Let's just read off that motion and somebody just.
I have to say, I got this, I read it to her this afternoon, she was like, okay, we're 100%, and then she emailed me back, said, except, I said, no, the board minutes are done, the board agenda said, so we did get lucky, and she said, oh, it is there, so everything is there that we need.
Okay, so moving to item 8C, approve the reconfiguration of Hagan, Lewis and Clark, McVeigh, Rickard, and Wilkinson Elementary Schools to have grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We give this one to Mr. Barsh. Do we have a second?
I was.
Second.
A second by Mrs. Sluter. Any discussion? Hearing none, Paula, could you call the roll?
Wheeler.
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Yeah, aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. 8D, approve the opening of Sloan Elementary School that will have grades kindergarten through fifth grade. Do we have that motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Marsh,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. 8E, approve the reconfiguration and name change of ASB Innovation Academy to ASB Preschool Center. The ASB Preschool Center will house our best in class as well as our early childhood special education preschool programs. Do we have a motion?
So
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'm going to give it to Johnson.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Sluter. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Swint.
Motion, aye. Motion carries. Aye, motion carries. 8F, approve the reconfiguration of Williston Middle School Central Campus to only have grades 6, 7, and 8, and discontinue using the school names of Bakken Ridge Elementary School and ASB Innovation Academy. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Overland,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Item 9, superintendent consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the superintendent consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the superintendent consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland, Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving to the board consent agenda. Item 10, do we have a motion to approve the board consent agenda?
Move to approve the board consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Marsh,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland, Kilgore,
Aye, sorry.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving to item 11, board debrief of meeting. I was actually the only board member present for the agenda setting, so I will take the debrief. I think we did a great job this evening. Very robust agenda. All our presenters did an amazing job and moved really quick. I think we were very focused on the items that matter and having students here in the room. Those are the ones that matter. That's what we get to praise and having presence in this room. So thank you, everybody. Any additional input? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.